welcome back to Vegas Weekly for Saturday, August 22nd, 2020. We got another big show for you today. Going to talk about in the news segment some closures and a few things that we've lost permanently in Las Vegas as a result of the pandemic. PJ is going to have a very special shot for us today. And then in our Vegas tip segment, which is probably going to be the long segment in today's show, I'm going to talk about traveling to Las Vegas right now. What are some tips and tricks? Should you do it? And if you do, how can you best maximize your experience? Finally, in our Vegas history segment, we're going to touch on the Four Queens, or the block where the Four Queens is, and what was there before. You'll find out today. But first off, we have a number of housekeeping notes. Rocktober is just 8 weeks away. That's 56 days. I don't know how many hours or how many minutes. Maybe PJ can tell us, or someone can. What is Rocktober, you ask? Well, loosely, Rocktober is a 2-week period towards the end of the month when a number of Vegas vloggers and pseudo-celebrities of all types are liable to be gathered in Las Vegas, we hope. That includes yours truly, and of course includes our mixologist PJ and a number of other folks. If you're interested, and you should be, definitely check out the event in our Facebook group. If you're not in our Facebook group, you can check it out in the links below. Also, we even have merchandise available. There's some Rocktober merchandise. If you're definitely coming, you might want to check that out. I'll put a link to that merchandise store in the show notes below. So we're going to be counting down as we get closer and closer to that date. Second, did want to appreciate everybody who watched our Vegas history special again, part 2 on Wednesday. I was a little disappointed with how it turned out, but had a lot of positive feedback. People seem to get some good information out of that. So we'll continue to do that on a more or less monthly basis and continue to talk about the old casinos, how they came to be and how in some cases they came not to be. This is Live Stream Wednesday coming up this month, so 6 o'clock Vegas time. I'll put up a thumbnail at some point in the next couple of days, but you know the gig. We'll just sit around and talk about Vegas and other things. I'm probably not going to run that late. We might do some kind of giveaway, but I'm not going to really push it or promote it. I'll just sort of randomly give somebody something. How does that sound? No wheels. I'm not spinning any wheels. And that JP is definitely not going to be there, unless he is. We'll see. Finally, our channel shout out of the week goes to our good friends Tamara and Gord, Vegas Best Ideas. They hit 1,000 subscribers this week, and within like 5 minutes, they were already monetized. Took me 5 months, but they're prettier than I am, particularly Gord. That hair is gorgeous. So that's our housekeeping notes for the day. Now let's take a look at the news. So in our news segment today, we're going to be negative Nellies. Last week we were all positive and cheerful and happy about the good things that were happening in Las Vegas. Today we're going to talk about some of the things we've lost over this past 6 months or so. We'll start out with a few recent closures and business failures, and undoubtedly we're going to see more of this. As time goes by, more and more places simply can't absorb the losses that they're taking on a monthly basis. So yesterday we lost Sundance Helicopters, one of those services, Maverick, I think being the other one that's probably the most well-known, that would fly you up in a helicopter around the Strip, out to Hoover Dam, or all the way to the Grand Canyon if you like. Clearly not as many people choosing to do that. And I'm not sure, that would be kind of an odd sort of social distancing situation, being crammed into a helicopter. Also, we lost Cheetahs. Cheetahs. It was a gentleman's club, a club for gentlemen. It was featured in the movie Showgirls, so you know it's been around for a while. And they decided to call it quits. So not really specifically a sort of Las Vegas attraction, but I'm sure that many a thrill was had at both Sundance Helicopters and Cheetahs. So we sadly say goodbye to them. We've said goodbye to some shows in recent weeks and months. Of course, the entire Cirque production declared bankruptcy, so it's hard to say in what form or how many of their shows will return. But we know the very Cirque-like Le Rêve at Wynn will not. It was announced just over a week ago that that show was closing. Apparently Wynn was basically kind of subsidizing this show, and it was bleeding a lot of money during these months of non-production, so no more Le Rêve. The very popular sort of Motown-themed Human Nature show also announced a while back that they're closing. And I would expect we're going to see more and more of these closures. Probably, some of the smaller shows won't come back. And it's hard to say when we'll see shows of any kind. We've heard rumblings from Carrot Top. We've heard rumblings from Absinthe that those shows were planning to come back in a socially distanced form. But when? I don't even think that would be within the guidelines of the state of Nevada at this point. And those guidelines didn't change this week. We're still at least 2 weeks from seeing bars reopening, although there's a lot of people coming up with some creative ways around that. And some of those bars will never reopen. We've lost a lot of buffets that will probably never come back. We know Treasure Island's not coming back. I would guess a lot of the MGM and Caesars buffets will not come back. Only a handful have returned so far in a very, very different form. The nightclubs, when will they ever come back? I mean, these are places packed, shoulder to shoulder, sweaty, loud, drunk people. It does not seem like it would be the kind of thing we're going to see anytime soon. And there's a lot of money invested in those nightclubs and those day clubs. And how many will not survive? Who knows? Even the hotels themselves, there are some that are very questionable. The Tropicana and Oyo are supposed to open here in about a week, week and a half, but there's still rumblings that that might not happen. MGM is opening Mirage this Thursday. You notice these casinos all reopen on Thursday, I guess to take advantage of the weekend crowd. But MGM has still not announced plans to reopen Park MGM or Nomad. Caesars still has Planet Hollywood shut down, Cromwell shut down. Off-Strip, the Rio is shut down, and the whole neighborhood there is pretty much dark. You can go gamble at the Gold Coast, but you can't stay there. You could stay over at the Palms Place, but the Palms Casino itself is shut down, along with several other station properties, and we don't know when or if they will return. And we've lost people as well. We lost Roy Horn. He was definitely one of the people we lost as a result of COVID-19. This week we lost I guess we'll call him a character in Las Vegas history. The guy who was the leader of the hole-in-the-wall gang that was portrayed in the movie Casino. His name was Frank Galata. He passed away this year. Now, let's not romanticize this guy. He was a criminal. He did some probably really terrible things. He did end up cooperating with the feds and was able to put away a number of his cohorts. But like so many of the Vegas mob over the years, in time, he became sort of an endearing figure. He had a social media presence. He offered little tours and could often be seen around the Las Vegas area. Again, a lot that we've lost in Las Vegas over the last several months, but we have confidence that some of these things are going to come back strong, and we'll have some new and exciting Vegas experiences in the very near future. For now, though, let's just have a moment of silence for all the people, places that we will not be seeing again. Well, that's about as much silence as you'll ever get if you're anywhere in the neighborhood of our mixologist, PJ. Now, PJ is very excited about Rocktober. He's bringing a series of shots to us over the next several weeks, what he calls a shot down to Rocktober. He's going to get it started this week. So let's just see what kind of crazy concoction that he's whipping up for us today. PJ?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rocktober. It's going to be a fantastic time in Las Vegas. Now here's PJ with this week's shot.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. And John, John, are you ready? In 8 weeks, my friend, we will both be in Las Vegas celebrating Rocktober. And what a better way to celebrate Rocktober than with a shot special. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see down below, there's 8 shots on the table and a spinner. What I'm going to be doing for you today is I'm going to spin that shot glass. Whatever drink it lands on, that is the shot I'm going to take for you today. So are you ready? John, are you ready? You want to do this with me? I take a shot, you take a shot? Yes? No? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you at home can join me if you like, and I hope that you do. You may see these again in Las Vegas in just 8 weeks. I believe it's 55 days. I'm not sure what it'll be from the day of you seeing this, but let's get right into it, shall we? Enough is enough. By the way, the robe. Many have asked for it, so today, here it is. We're back. All right, let's get some spinning for the shot. We're going to spin this puppy. Wherever it lands. That's kind of an in-betweener. Let's do it one more time. And that looks like that's an in-betweener too. Let's go one more time. Third time's a charm. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Flip this over. And we are doing the brass monkey. The brass monkey. Let me put that on there for you. So you can see dark rum, vodka, and orange juice. We'll be right back and we're going to make the brass monkey. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, how we're going to present this is we're going to pour them in our shaker and shake them up. A little bit of orange juice. A little bit of vodka. And a little bit of dark rum. Put on our lid. And we're just going to shake this up just to chill it. Just to chill it, ladies and gentlemen. Just get this nice and cold because I like my shots cold whenever possible. All right, one more time. And now, the brass monkey. Dark rum, vodka, and orange juice. Let's pour. And ladies and gentlemen, and now, here we go. Cheers, everybody. Happy Rocktober. Oh, baby. That's all I got to say about that. Stay tuned. Rocktober starts October 14th to the 27th. There'll be various stuff going on throughout the couple of weeks. Lots of people showing up. I will be there personally the 17th to the 24th. John, back to you, buddy. And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Every week for the next 8 weeks, we're bringing you a new shot. Also, I got a special game going out there. Name that voice. Put your comments down below in John's Vegas Tips and Tricks who you think that voice is. That's all. Have a great day, everybody. You know? Can't let this go to waste. Ooh. Here's one for the road. Woo! Baby. The good thing is that one's out of the way. Peace, everybody. John, back to you, buddy. Woo!
All right, PJ, thanks for that very enthusiastic segment today. The robe is back. Rocktober brought back the robe. And I think PJ challenged me to do a shot. So while this could be water, it isn't. You've seen my entrance in the 3-shot challenge. You know that this will not be a problem, although the next segment could be a bit slurred. So cheers, PJ. Thanks for all you do for our program, and look forward to seeing you in October. Very refreshing. By the way, PJ, his Guess the Voice contest, as you heard, we did not have the familiar lead in to this segment. So we want you to guess who provided the voice at the beginning of PJ's Shot segment tonight. So if you got a guess, leave it in the comments below. All right, so Vegas has changed a lot. Vegas always changes a lot. Did you ever go to the library when you were thinking about going to Vegas and pull out a guidebook and it's 4 or 5 years old and you realize it's completely, hopelessly out of date because things change so quickly? That's true anywhere. It's certainly true in Las Vegas. And it's certainly true in this sort of new normal, yes, I hate that word too, that we're dealing with right now. A couple of years ago, I spent quite a bit of time putting together the Vegas Tips and Tricks website. I was pretty proud of it, and I still am. There's a lot of good quality material in there, but a lot of what you read isn't that helpful today. So on today's Vegas Tips and Tricks segment, we're going to talk about whether you should go to Vegas now, and if you do, what are some tips and tricks to make the experience a little better? First of all, I am not a physician. I am not a scientist. I'm not here to advise you whether it's a good idea for you to go to Las Vegas. If you have existing health conditions or you live with someone who does, you're probably going to want to be careful. You're probably going to want to consult with your physician before you make a decision like that. But if you're in fairly good health and you're thinking about going, what are some things that you should think about? Well, first of all, you're taking a risk. But you always take a risk when you travel. How many of us have gone on a vacation, whether it's to Las Vegas or a tropical paradise or just a nearby city for a few days and somehow come down with a case of intestinal distress or respiratory issues? It's pretty common. You put your body in a different place, expose it to different things, different foods, different people, and, you sometimes get a bad reaction. And that certainly is true now as it would normally be. Now, obviously, coming down with the COVID virus, for some people could be a very, very risky situation. And there is a lot of difference of opinions and still a lot of confusion, even 6-8 months out. But I think one thing we do know is that it's not particularly healthy to be in a confined space with a lot of people. And so if you're traveling, there's a couple of things that you have to be a little bit concerned about. First off is the plane ride. Yeah, let's get in a giant metal tube and seal it up and hang out with a bunch of people we don't know. Of course, everyone's going to be wearing masks, but masks are prophylactic. Like a condom or a toothbrush, they're going to help prevent any kind of infection. They are not 100% effective. So keep that in mind. And another place that you're liable to experience in Las Vegas, at least, that doesn't seem like the healthiest place to be is a busy casino. So that being said, guess what? A lot of us are going to the grocery store several times a week, and it's crowded, and people are not observing social distancing. Many of us work in an environment where we come in regular contact with the public, some of whom may be wearing a mask, but it's hanging down over their chin or not covering their nose. So there's risks either way. And again, I'm not here as a physician, but if you do decide to go to Las Vegas, there's some things you can do not only to help protect yourself, but also to have a better experience. First of all, when you arrive in Las Vegas, I would typically always advise people to go to the rideshare area because it's been a very inexpensive way. It's been a great addition to Las Vegas. You're able to, get to your strip or downtown property for, sometimes 50% off. But there aren't as many Lyft and Uber drivers as there have been in the past. Some of these folks are staying home for the same reason some of us are staying home. So you may experience a significant wait time depending upon how busy things are. In addition, whether you take a ride share or a taxi or whatever, you're getting into a vehicle that other people have been getting into day and night. And while I have no doubt that the vast majority of drivers are taking every precaution and doing their best to keep their vehicles clean and safe, you don't know. So I'm going to go ahead, and my first Vegas tip or trick, if you're going to Vegas right now, is to rent a car. And I usually do not advise that. But it gives you a lot of mobility. It's going to help out with a couple of additional tips and tricks that I'm going to share going forward. And, again, you know who's been in that vehicle. It's probably been very well sanitized before you get into it. And of course, you can do your best and you can additionally clean and sanitize the vehicle on the inside yourself. So think about renting a car. Second, think about staying a little bit off the beaten path. I almost always advise people, if they go to Las Vegas, stay in the center strip, stay in the middle of the action. You can walk everywhere. It's exciting. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of great inexpensive properties that you can, get a room, like Bally's or Flamingo or Harrah's. If you want to step it up a notch, you can stay at Cromwell or Bellagio or Caesars. And they're all right there in the center of the action and the center of all these people coming and going all the time. And maybe that's not such a good thing right now. I love the Flamingo. I've stayed there several times. I've stayed there each of the last 2 years. I had plans to stay there in September. That trip's probably not going to happen. That being said, the Flamingo is a petri dish of people walking, coming and going night and day. It's not the only place like that. You think about a place like, say, Excalibur. Feels kind of very similar. And honestly, some of the more upscale properties like Paris or Bellagio or Caesars, people are walking through night and day. You're being exposed to more and more people. The crowd is denser, certainly on the weekends. Consider staying off the strip. You have a car. Or staying on the ends of the strip. Maybe this is a chance to finally spend some time at Mandalay Bay. Or Tropicana, if it opens. Or the Strat, or Sahara, or a chance to check out a fine off-strip property like the M Resort or Red Rock. Think about it. That doesn't mean you can't visit the Center Strip, but do you want to be there all the time and constantly be in that big a crowd? I'm saying no. Third, consider staying at the best property, the nicest property you can afford. Now, I know that every Las Vegas casino and hotel is doing their level best to keep their facility clean. But it is fair to say that if 6 or 8 months ago you visited a property and it was immaculate, and you visited another property and it was that today, given the same people and the same level of service, it's very likely that that nicer property is cleaner and is safer. So maybe this is the time to stay at a property like the Wynn, or the Cosmopolitan, or the Aria, or again, Mandalay, or off-strip at Red Rock or M, because you know that those properties have a higher level of service, and they're probably doing a better job keeping their properties clean. Just a thought, just a tip or trick. Another thing to consider if you're going to Las Vegas right now is managing your expectations. If you love to go to Las Vegas and go to shows and nightclubs, this is probably not the time to go. If the only thing you do when you go to Las Vegas is you sit at the bar in your casino and play video poker, this is probably not the time to go. So keep it in mind. A lot of restaurants are closed. Some have limited hours. If there's something you want to if there's a place you want to eat, make sure it's open and get a reservation, because not only are some places closed, but the hours tend to be limited, and there's not as many people that are going to be in that establishment at the same time. Same thing with a pool. If most of the pools are open, but again, reduce capacity. Don't expect to wake up at 10:30 and mosey on down to the pool and be able to get in. Make sure you check with the hotel you're staying at and find out what you have to do. You may have to make a reservation. Maybe, this is the time to splurge on a cabana or, a couple of loungers so that you're guaranteed a spot. And I think that's the key. If you're going to Vegas, if you make that choice to go now, recognize there are some things you're not going to be able to do. There are things that are going to be different. But that doesn't mean that this is an opportunity to do some different things and have some different experiences. And remember, you just rented a car. So here's a final tip. This is a great opportunity to get out and experience Las Vegas, greater Las Vegas, some of the outdoor scenery and attractions of Las Vegas. This may be the opportunity to go to Red Rock Canyon or the Valley of Fire or Mount Charleston. What a great opportunity to get away from things, get some fresh air, and see something you may not have seen before. And maybe some of you haven't been to Boulder City or Hoover Dam. Go. Again, you've got a car, so do it. And while, you may be in a casino where there are limited food options, guess what? If you have a car and you can drive off strip, the food options are almost unlimited. Think about it. So, this is kind of an extended segment, and I said it was going to be, but if you choose to go to Vegas right now, be careful, make the right choices, prepare yourself for what you're going to experience, because it's not the same. And if you follow some of the suggestions that I have given you here today, I think you're going to have a much better time. All right. So next up, we're going to take a look at Fremont Street in our continuing This Week in Vegas history, and we're going to talk about the Four Queens. Stay tuned. Okay, so our final segment of the week, our This Week in Vegas history segment, we're going to return to Fremont Street after a couple of weeks away. We're going to talk about the block that currently houses the Four Queens Hotel and Casino, and honestly, this is not one of the more interesting blocks downtown. Four Queens didn't open up until 1966. They expanded their initial hotel tower a few years later. They added their second tower back in 1981. They've remodeled both recently. Four Queens continues to be a very successful property. It is a budget property. They offer good deals, no resort fee. Basically, them along with Binion's, which they own. No resort fees, good rates, good gamble, good food options there at a good price. The Four Queens was really the first significant building on this street, to be honest. Probably the most distinctive business on that block prior to the Four Queens was the White Cross Drugs. It would stay there basically until Four Queens opened, and then it would move down the street a block. So sometimes you'll see pictures of White Cross Drugs, and later you'll see pictures of White Cross Rexall, a block south or so. There was a automotive garage, there was a hardware store, there was a dress shop, there was a hotel on the east side of the block for quite some time, and when it closed, there was an arcade, ironically called the King's Arcade. But eventually the Four Queens would absorb the entire block, and the Four Queens would close down the King's. And it has remained that way since really the early 80s. So next week we will venture down the street further to the east. We'll talk about the block that currently houses the D Hotel and Casino, and what was there before, and what is there now, and the history that made it happen. Thanks so much again for watching tonight's program. A little bit longer than we normally do, but hope that it provided you with some good information. Again, this Wednesday, 8 p.m., Central Time, 6 p.m. Vegas time, we'll do our monthly live stream, so I hope you can join us there for that. If not, hey, hope that you'll join us again next week. If you have a comment, please leave it in the comments below. Please hit the like button on this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Until then, everyone, hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We will see you soon.